when this church is completely empty and you close the door, that noise, the boom, echoing through an empty church, that's the loudest noise. That's what we need to avoid.
But what's missing in our faith then?
Maybe we need to die to a certain way of being the church so we can resurrect as something else.
We ask the questions most churches avoid.
And how we get through it with faith and hope.
Welcome back to Filthy Hope. Hi, and welcome back to Filthy Hope, a podcast about faith with no filter. I'm Ness.
Hi, Ness. I'm John. And we're having an honest conversation, radically honest conversation about stuff that we often don't talk about in life and in the church.
And today we're doing our second part of a conversation with the moderator-elect, the magnificent Reverend Pablo Nunez.
Very good.
Yeah, Nunez. Did I do all right?
Yeah. Fine. Yes.
So
Welcome.
Reverend Brother Moderator-elect, for those who haven't caught the previous episode, the moderator in the state organisation of the Uniting Church in Australia, there's a lot of words, is the leader of our state. Well, it's New South Wales. The Synod is the state body. Yeah. Synod of New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory. And you're elect, which means in 2027, you'll take over from our current moderator, who's the Reverend Marta Havea. And you can check out previous episodes with her.
Wonderful episode.
Yeah. So, what's a moderator?
That's a great question.
I mean, it sounds like it should be part of a car. You know, you've got a carburetor.
My moderator,
your moderator,
the left or the right one?
That's right.
We're looking like that episode of Friends. The left phalange. The left phalange is not working. That's why the church is falling apart. The left moderator fell.
Or Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars. Uncle Owen, this droid's got a bad moderator.
Yes.
So what's a moderator?
That's a great question. I work under two moderators, Simon and Mara, and observing what they do, I think that what comes to my mind is somebody who sits at a place that creates a space for the church to have the conversations that we need to have. Right. Not the ones we want in many cases, but the ones we need to have in order to face the future in a different way. Yeah, there's a lot of representation. The moderator needs to be the face of the church and the voice of the church in many, many situations. Look at Mara's social media and you'll see where she is, who she talks to, the amazing
you're
representation.
Effectively the state ambassador for the church?
I think it's almost like being a state ambassador for New South Wales and the ACT.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're an ambassador, you have a voice. So what do you say in these kind of situations matters as well.
So you're an influencer as well.
Hopefully a good one, or an influencer from the position of actually inspiring people to be everything that they can be in this time and age, but multiplying that for every member of the church in our synod, in every congregation, in every mission agency, and everything else that we do. I was visiting a Uniting venue this morning, just getting to know the work that they do there. And in the back of your mind, something says, this is also the church. Yes. All of this is us. Yeah. So I think the moderator needs to take a deep look, listen deeply, but then bring those conversations forward and say, okay, what do we do about the world in which we are living right now?
Because you get to shape the direction or help work with the team
vision.
To help shape the vision.
I think when you set up when you set up the vision of the state meeting, in a sense, you are saying, I believe that this is the conversation we need to have. And Mara has done that magnificently with the transforming spirit, transforming communities. Yeah. Simon did that great with where the wild God is and inviting us to consider completely unique, different perspectives. So no, I don't feel the pressure towards that. It's how to silence my sense of humor and create a vision that is actually easy, not easy to follow, but easy to understand. Okay, this is the invitation that we've been invited to have right now, building up on everything that the church has done over the last few years.
And the church is in a really interesting situation, isn't it? And it's definitely changing. Some would say it's dying. I hate that expression. We had a big punch up before we came on air today.
Well, it's not dying, but we're pretty sick.
Well, yeah, I don't think we're necessarily as sick as John thinks we are.
Well, our numbers-wise.
Numbers-wise, bums on seats.
In the previous episode, Pablo drew our attention to that Australia is a fairly non-religious country anymore, increasingly non-religious.
That's
And part of that means that major religious denominations such as the Uniting Church are seeing a decline in numbers.
Yeah, which is
we're seeing a decline in the members of our congregation and so there's something that's not attractive anymore that's people.
Can I say something that is not usually said in this situation?
Sure.
I love that reality. And let me tell you why. When I arrived in Brazil to be a missionary, Brazil had maybe 10% of newborn Christians, vast majority of nominal Catholics, and a growing number of non-religious people, and a mix of everything else. So every time we went to the streets to have a conversation about faith, there was a little bit of a confrontation, but there also was a little, okay, you come with your perspective, let me listen to yours. It was a different kind of conversation that you will normally have with people. By the time I left, and if I visit Brazil today, Brazil has like 30% of newborn Christians. The Catholics are way more active than they used to be before. There's a sense of revival in the Catholic Church about faith, about dynamics. It has changed the country in many, many ways, positive and negative, but it has changed. But you want to talk to people about God, and everybody's a believer. Oh, I believe in God. I believe in God.
Interesting.
So the conversation changes to, what does it mean to you, you believe in God? Because to believe usually means that something in your life changes as a consequence of that. So the conversation is way more about discipleship than about evangelism these days.
Right.
You know what it means to believe in Jesus. What does it mean to live now that you believe in Jesus?
Yeah.
I believe in Australia for a long time. We were very complacent and very comfortable in that position of being a Christian country, of having a strong Christian tradition, and believe that our values all were Judeo-Christians, which I don't believe is true. And suddenly we are faced with the reality that we are not in that place anymore, but we crave for that society.
Yes.
We crave for a society in which things were predictable, where you just build a building, call it a church, and people will come.
Yes.
And that craving manifests because culture says so. It's bad if you don't show up.
Yes.
And then you create a culture that's safe and comfortable so that people feel comfortable.
And people crave for that sense of predictability, but they don't realize that that's not what it means to be a Christian community or a Christian nation. It's way more than when we go on Sunday mornings. It's
much better than that.
Much better than that, but more challenging than that either. So when we are faced with those realities, because we cannot deny anymore that reality is different, that's when we start having the conversations we need to have. Australia is about, according to the specialist, just a few years from being considered a pre-Christian nation, not longer a postmodern nation, a pre-Christian nation, which means the generations that were born from the 90s forward, most of them have no idea what it means to be a Christian.
Yeah.
They didn't come to Bible school, the Sunday school. They didn't go to church. Their parents didn't go to church. Therefore, they didn't go to church. So when you talk to some kids these days,
and many of our listeners will be the same.
Yeah.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
And so when you talk to people, what does it mean to be a Christian? They have no idea.
Yes.
It's not like before, oh, I used to go to Sunday school. Oh, I took my kids to Sunday school. Oh, I met my wife in a youth meeting, in a youth gathering, or we used to go to. There was a sense of almost nostalgia. We used to go to this place. Right now, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So we're at a pivotal time.
Yeah, we are. That's right.
And that's what we mean when the church is dying. It's not dying.
I'm a cup half full overflowing sister.
There's still a lot of life in the church.
Can't do that negative crap. I'm just like, I have evidence for growing church.
Yeah.
You are a part of a really booming church, and I've got a growing church. So I'm seeing
we're
really
healthy.
good stuff in ministry.
But can I say something? Again, maybe it's not the most popular opinion, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to die to a certain way of being the church, so we can resurrect as something else.
Yeah.
And that something else is what we need to discern. Continue to discern, because we are already walking in this.
Yeah.
And every movement that there should be different suffers, because at the beginning you lose more than what you win.
Yes.
Until suddenly change happens and people respond to that.
Yeah,
we need to be courageous.
And as a change agent, often you can cop such ridicule because
constantly.
you're not going along the path that is predictable. And you can
That's not working.
But often change agents are shaking the status quo.
Before.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
throwing it all up and trying something new and fresh. And often the establishment gets very pissed off.
Oh, definitely.
If you start to get runs on the board. And in Australia, there's this tall poppy syndrome that we have where, well, why the heck would that work over there? So we will just poo-hoo that. We won't get behind that.
Instead of learning why it's
Instead of
working.
going, okay, that's working over there. Why don't we try something different too?
Yeah. And I think this is what... I think this is spreading among other movements. When you have those conversations, more people are waking up to the reality that Australian society, Western society as a whole, is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
There's a part of that society that is pushing back very strongly. Let's go back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
And you go, do you realize that how much we grew out of that? And it's not the perfect picture.
Yeah.
As a migrant, I know that because every few years I have this craving to go back to my home country, to Uruguay. And every single memory that I have is positive. The food is magnificent. The people are nice. The football on TV is awesome. Everything is great. And then you show up there. And after a few days of honeymoon, reality hits you in the face. And you go, oh, wait a minute. It's not like that at all. Oh, I remember why I didn't like this. Oh, I remember why I rebelled against it before.
Yes.
And we have this idea that if we just go back to what was predictable, everything is going to fall back in place.
Yeah.
And that's not what's going to happen.
And it's literally better the devil you know. It's like, it may suck, but at least we know how it
we know
sucks.
how it has.
And we're comfortable enough with it. Not enough to change, but to get out of that rut.
Because change is scary.
It is.
People are really shit scared of changing the status quo.
But think about this perspective. And I learned that being a minister in Ballina Uniting Church. I left an organization working with young people for 22 years. And suddenly I'm minister of a church that I was the second youngest person. My wife was the youngest one.
Yeah.
We were the youth group and the
what about your kids?
New members. And imagine my kids.
They had to be the really youngest.
Yeah, but grew up in a place where everybody's 18, 19, 20, bumming with energy, crazy about doing something, showing up and going, oh, these people are lovely. They are amazing. But it's so different.
Yeah.
You've got lots of grandmas and aunties.
But this is what I learned very early in my time there. Church was the last place in society that was predictable. I know I'm going to show up Sunday at 9:00, and I know we're going to have this liturgy, these hymns.
Yes.
The sermon is going to be about this because this is what's in the calendar. So I have the readings from last week.
Yes.
Maybe you heard the same sermon of 20 years, but that's okay.
Yep.
And it's going to finish at 10:00.
And you're going to get a bad coffee.
Then you're going to have bad coffee, a little tea, a conversation, and go home.
Yes.
And that's church, and that's predictable.
Yes.
I know what it is.
Safe.
Everything else changed. My cars are changing. I don't know how to drive the things. People in the streets are not responding like before. I grew up...
Social media thing.
Social media. What is this thing that people keep telling me? I literally had a person in the congregation that thought that LOL means lot of love. So she's finishing everything
with lot of love.
I say, I'm very sorry for your loss, LOL.
Oh.
And I had to say, no.
Oh, I love that.
But cars, the traffic around town has changed. How people treat elderly people has changed. Everything else has changed. TV, oh my goodness. 4
So
channels.
you can understand why
heavens.
people are happy to just turn
And
up to a
suddenly-
place that's
It's the same.
known.
Yeah, exactly.
And how they respond when you say, let's change this
Right.
as well.
Don't change it.
Just do not change it.
Yeah.
In Ballina, we had this wonderful conversation. It took about 3 years together, but we got there to a place of saying, we will keep the 9:00 service as it is, your hymns, your style, but just give me the freedom to do something different. And it's not going to look like you, but it's going to be you. And it's not going to sound like you, but it's going to be you.
It's still part of
It's
you.
either this or when this church dies, we close the doors and we do whatever we want after
gets
that. But you can be
bulldozed or
part of it.
something, yeah.
Yes.
So the whole, I think sometimes some phrases wake people up.
Yes.
And I got one when I was talking to them saying, when you have kids here and they are noisy, you become a little bit annoyed. The idea of kids in the church is great until kids show up in church. For some people, some others, they're amazing. But the highest, the most amazing noise you can hear in the church, the one that really hurts your ears, is not the kids. Is when this church is completely empty and you close the door, that noise, the boom of a echoing through an empty church, that's the loudest noise. That's what we need to avoid, even if it means different.
Yeah. And if you missed Pablo's first interview that we had or conversation, really check it out, because his story is one of growing up and into punk music, and then that sort of themes a whole bunch, because just of every time he's offered something safe and normal, his story is that God says, no. You're going somewhere else. You're going to Australia. Yes. And it's not the easy way, and nothing in your story has been easy.
I had a wonderful conversation with somebody who is a businessman that invested in missions and missionaries, and I got an interview with him, so I thought, fantastic, great. And I had an interview. He was distracted with something else. And I kept talking and talking until the end. He goes, I love what are your ideas. I love what you're going to do. Where are you going again? And I said, Australia. Oh, Australia? Not to Australia. I thought you were saying Africa. If you're going to go to Australia, Australia doesn't need the gospel. Australia is a Christian country.
Oh, wow.
So you go, well, Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich person to come into the kingdom. Sometimes when you multiply that for a whole nation, who is doing the most difficult work is another question. But Australia is in a time of change.
So what do we need, Pablo, as somebody who's going to come into this space, bring an influence? We've got lovely people passionate about their faith, because they'd show up every week.
Yes.
They could be at the coffee shop or doing golf or lawn bowls or just watching TV at home or whatever it is.
They're still churning.
So they're still committed. But what's missing in our faith then that needs to get that disruption that might change us to being more aligned to this Jesus that you talked about, who disrupted his society.
Everything,
So what do we need to learn?
2014, I was given a little document by a friend. He's another minister. He's Argentinian. Even Argentinians can be used by God. That's amazing. Sorry, guys. It was the basis of union. And I read the thing thinking, that cannot be a theological document. It's way too short, right?
Can I just jump in? That for people that don't know, the basis of union is this founding document of the Uniting Church. And it's if you haven't read it, Google it. It's a terrific bit of information, simple to read, great understanding, and it'll give you an understanding of the ethos of our church.
That's right.
And why it's called the basis of union was that the Uniting Church is made up of 3 different denominations. There were going to be more, but only in the end 2.5 came. And those 3 had to work out how they're actually going to play nicely together and pray nicely
how
together.
to be the church.
What is central?
And it wasn't just what we believe, it's actually who we believe we're called to be. And that's why it's called a basis of union. It was the basis that these 3 different denominations with different traditions
and incredibly deep, but incredibly humble at the same time,
and slippery.
Very it can go anywhere. It doesn't
just this.
No, it doesn't tell you the rules. It inspires you to think. And I was reading that and said, this is what it means to be a church that is not just reformed, but is reforming. That we're still being changed. So that's the reality. Our roots, we are a church that is called to be continually reforming, which doesn't mean to discharge everything from the past. That this doesn't work anymore, throw it at the rubbish. It's no. Celebrate that, learn from it, take the best out of it, celebrate the journey, and in honor of our past, build a different future.
Yeah, wow.
The best way to honor our past is to recognize the good, the beauty, the incredible things that people did, and to build a future that honors them. It's not to keep repeating the same thing over and over again.
So, to honor the legacy.
Honor the legacy. The phrase that I put at the beginning, and maybe it will end up being the theme for Synod or not, you heard it here first, is celebrate your heritage, build your legacy.
Love that.
And celebrate everything that God has done. We wouldn't be here as church in this building if we didn't have people that were faithful to the gospel for many, 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 many years. And now they're feeling that they are blamed or it's their fault.
Or they're holding us
back. Or they're holding us back. So let's celebrate what we did.
I love that.
And now let's build the future. What's the next step beyond buildings or in a different building?
Yeah, to go with that theme, it's something I use in funerals. Is that I often tell the great things. You hear the stories of their achievements in life and what they did to flourish in life. And my encouragement is always find that inspiration in living forward.
That's right.
So what they've done isn't dead. It carries forward, but it needs to be, they may love cricket and I don't like cricket, but I can see this sense of belonging and community, and I can then celebrate that.
Yeah, and the solution or some of the responses is, I'm not going to start a cricket team. I don't like it. But how can I bring community together like they used to be? One of the ladies that passed away in our church community, I only met her when she was already with dementia. So my knowledge of who she was very limited. She passed away. And I'm preparing for her funeral, so I'm doing the interviews, talking to people, trying to learn about her. And suddenly, this lady, during the Second World War, when her husband was called into service, she ran a regional airport by herself. Everything that was done in that regional airport, she did it. So this woman suddenly is, no, I'm not needed inside the house anymore. My husband is not here. What is society telling me? I'm needed somewhere else. And she moved. Powerful woman.
Wow.
Powerful woman who will collect the tickets, prepare the plane, carry the luggage, make sure that everything was happening in place. I never met her, but she was there. How can I honor her? I'm not going to start a new airport somewhere else and do it by myself. I'm going to say to every person that I meet, especially to my daughter, see the strength that you can have in moments like this. How can we apply it to this reality in which we are right now?
Which is that sense that, and it says it in the basis of union, everyone has a gift. And every gift from God has a corresponding service and ministry.
Exactly.
And it's about hearing, like your story and Ness's story and my story, is that we're called to use who we are to solve the problems that are before us today, just like that lady solved the problems that were facing her community. What are the needs then in our community that we perhaps need to be addressing as a church?
I think community is a big need.
Yes.
How do we build a community where we can have these honest, unfiltered congregations in a society where canceling one another or hating one another has become so common? How can we build communities in which we respect honesty and truth and people on the journey?
And
not literally people that agree so can be part of our community, people that come with all the disagreements and want to have that space. What does it mean to build a church that is not built around the presence of a central building in a community, but it's actually the people are living that life of a Christian church everywhere in that community. And the places where we meet and the ways in which we meet are different and yet meaningful, transforming, challenging. What does it mean to be a church that owns so much real estate in this country in a time of a housing crisis? And why is it that the spaces on top of our buildings are empty in places where people need affordable housing or even the possibility of getting into the housing market? I have a dream that has come out of our meetings with the state leadership. We have so many menses houses that were built to host ministers in a community that are not being used that way for one way or another. What if every one of them will become a missional community for young people struggling to get into the market?
Yeah.
My daughter cannot rent a place right now. She's 18 years old. Even if she had the money to pay for her rental, she doesn't have a rental history.
No, that's right.
How can she get into a rental market with the prices we have today? Even if she met with 3 or 4 other people that said, yes, together we can do this, it's not easy.
And then you need to have rented to get the reference before you can get the thing. So,
But we have a lot of young people that are passionate about God, passionate about faith, that speak the language of the new generations and understand the new generations way better than us, looking for an opportunity. So if I have a manse, I have 4 or 5 different rooms.
So if you're not Christian, a manse is the church house for the person that they hire. Well, the word stipend, which means so the leader gets to have a house provided as part of the package.
We move around, so it's very hard for us to have a central property and just live from there. It's understandable, but right now we have a lot more that are empty. So what if we could have small but meaningful Christian communities of young people living in those menses with the challenge to affect that community? We provide you with rental, we provide you with a place to live, we provide you with opportunity, and you, in exchange, fill this community with the presence of the faith, the love, the expression of the church that you are. So we never did that before. Okay, awesome. What does it mean to do it now then? How can I come to the younger people in the Uniting Church and say, I desperately need your heart and your passion, and you desperately need a place to live that can be yours? Yes. So let's talk about it. How can we help one another? What does it mean to be a church that owns so much real estate in places where if we build a building in that place, we will actually bless the whole of the community? Now, does it mean that their bumps will be in our places on Sunday mornings? I don't know. But if we don't change, something is going to continue. The decline, the emptiness, the silence. So we need to bring together ideas and passion and heart and voice in a way that says to the community, there's a place for us here.
Yes.
We want to be part of the response to this. It's not longer about where you're going to be after you die. It's about how you're living right here and right now. That makes sense to contemplate eternity with this God that you are meeting right here and right now.
And I think that's really important too. I think we need to have this rediscovery of what it means to connect radically to God. God, He's going to discomfort us because Jesus was a great disturber of the peace, a discomforter. He called people. He called people to follow. Just leave behind everything. Your boats, your fishing, and just come and follow me. You know, you rich tax collector, just give all that money away.
All that popularity. But it is the comfort is a way worse enemy than persecution. Every time the church was persecuted, it grew in faith, in depth, in numbers. Every time we fall on the risk of being too comfortable, too status quo, too much the voice, we lose our edge.
But at the same time, you know, we don't want to just become radical, like, well, we hate these people and we hate those people and those people don't belong. We don't become like we see in some of the, the populist Christianity that just gets in line with the government of the day that is all about these difficult. People are not valid. So it's that truth of being valued and valuable and making that sense of community.
We are recording this program on a very significant day. We're talking about a mourning day for what happened in Bondi. I was there this week and I took my kids to see the memorial and be part of that. We are talking about a day of disruption in Australian politics like we haven't seen in a long time. We are just days away from Australia Day, Mourning Day, Invasion Day, all these different ideas colliding in the same weekend with us. We are in a time and place that things need to find a church that actually listens to this community and responds in a different way with love, understanding, grace, and a word of challenge. But if we don't earn the right to speak into the life of our communities, we are just another voice making noise. We are just another voice that keeps resounding the same things over and over again. We are in a time and place that the church needs to step back from this been enamored with politics and falling under the enchantment of agreeing with one side or the other, and come back to be that prophetic voice that we are meant to be.
Yes.
Martin Luther King Day was just a couple of days ago, and I was reading all these quotes that can be so easily become slogans. And you go, those are rally cries for a church that in order to be prophetic, I got to be something else.
Yes.
Be the love
cannot
of God.
The love of God, passion for this community, a call for justice, but in practical ways.
Yeah.
In practical ways. I cannot stand the idea that somebody shows up at our church and says, I don't have shoes. And our response is, let me pray for you. When we can actually think about this whole process in different ways. You need shoes for today. And we need to make sure you don't go and become barefoot again. And how did that happen? And how can we affect the situation?
Yes.
And that's what makes me passionate about the ministry of the Uniting Church. It's powerful heritage.
Yep.
We are the church of John Wesley. We are the church of the crazy, faithful Presbyterians. We are the church of the Congregationalists saying we can do church in a different way.
Yeah.
We are the church of the people of the union that say we can be together. Let's
We don't have to have
we don't have to have all these
3 different
dogmas.
churches.
Why?
Let's just all get on together.
We are the
and get
church
on
who has
with
been so courageous
journey
in
to the
saying,
promised end.
And the promised end. I love that expression. But we have missions, and we have nursing homes, and we have so many organizations that says to be the church today is to fight for climate, is to fight for these situations, the right of people that haven't received their voice for so many ways. We stand for people.
And as you said, Ness, that's why we're not a dying church.
We are
Because
not
we
a
have
dying
all
church.
these amazing people doing
exciting.
amazing things.
And my heart is because what you guys are trying is like a big swing at the end. Says, if I have to go, I want to go swinging.
Yeah,
I
brother.
don't want to go calmly into
Me
the night.
too.
So somebody asked me, because we deal with these funds and things like, what about if we spend all this money and nothing happens? Well, way better than coming to the end of the road and saying, I'm dying with all this money in the bank and nothing ever happened. I never
Jesus
tried
says you can't
anything.
take it with you.
It's not going to go with you. I think the beauty that we have is that we have a powerful past and this invitation into a different future. We are supposed to be shaking the status quo. I'm not talking about the Uniting Church. The church should be shaking the status quo.
Yeah.
And for a long time, we became the status quo.
Yes.
And God is waking us up and inviting us into this future that requires courage, that requires faith, that requires passion. Everything that built the church where we stand right now, we need to rediscover. So let's celebrate.
Yes.
I wanna tell the stories of the church that are 150 years old, 160 years old. I was talking to the guys from Wesley Mission. 1812. So how come we don't tell these stories more often?
Yeah.
And let's go, okay, but this is the church of the future. So if I want to have a building in Coffs Harbour that will change the economics of the region, the shape of the community, I want to do that with joy. Not out of desperation, out of faith and out of hope. Everything that we can do differently is because we had these faithful generations behind us.
So exciting. That's
Great conversation.
That's cup overflowing.
Yeah.
Thank
well,
you very
we
much.
look forward to
Yeah.
next year when you become the moderator.
So excited for you,
Switch
Pablo.
over from moderator
Excited
elect.
for the church.
But let me tell you this. This is the result of the work that Synod and people from different presbyteries are doing for many, many years.
Yes.
That Simon gave the voice, that Mara gave her voice passionately, pastorally, with so much
We
grace.
just,
so much
as you
grace.
say, we just take on the legacy,
Yeah.
the heritage that came before us, and we build it
That's
into a
right.
legacy. So.
And my hope is in 2030 or whatever, if we still have a world by then, the moderator that will come after me will be maybe way younger. Maybe will come from a different culture and a different perspective. Maybe will come from a completely different background and will continue to be a different church because
wonderful.
there are so many others. They can be the same as the one. We can be the one that says, it's too boring to be the same. We mentioned that word a couple of times in the last conversation, but sometimes it's going back to the punk ethos of saying, I don't need to know every note.
Yeah.
Maybe all I need to do is A, C, G, whatever. It's
And have
enough
a
to make a
message.
music.
A real message.
I
Bring
go.
the message, off you go.
Yeah.
So I dream about our young people planting churches in whatever shape they look like.
Well,
I
thanks.
dream about the LGBTQ community planting churches and going, we want to bring this. I want to see our missions reproduced in different places, because what Wesley did was wayside, what Newton did is amazing, it's fantastic. We need that in new places. We need church plants that are great, and we need church plants that are diverse, and we need church plants that go everywhere in the community. What we cannot be, the church that dies sitting down looking at the path thinking, I
We're
wish
on
we
our knees
were.
praying.
Yes.
Come on.
That's it.
Well, great conversation, Pablo.
I'm pumped. I'm
Thank
so
you, Reverend
excited.
Sister.
Thank you, Reverend Brother.
Thank you, Reverend Brother, Moderator-elect.
Wow.
Well,
Thank you for joining us today on Filthy Hope, Faith with No Filter. We are so excited to see you again next week. Tune back in. If you like the conversation, just press like, do the thing, prescribe if you want to, subscribe if you want
you'll
to.
subscribe if it's value to you.
We can give you a
but-
prescription.
somebody
But a
else.
like does help the algorithm for us anyway.
definitely does.
Thank you. May you have a really continued exciting time, and may we learn to be a little bit punkier, because
Let's do it.
we get to hear your story.
From gospel to grunge.
Oh,
Excellent.
amen.
Yeah, amen. Let's leave it there. Thanks, people. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Filthy Hope today. If you're not already a subscriber, could you maybe subscribe? It's going to really help other listeners find us.